I want to go ahead and give you a quick review to the chapter, even though we're starting something new today. We're going to be wrapping up the chapter here soon, so I want to give you guys a quick review of what we've covered so far and how to use it. First thing we started talking about was percent proportions. In a percent proportion, we see questions like, what is 4% of 41? And a proportion compares two ratios. And we always said, since we're talking about percents, I heard Mr. Coop talk about something that was really neat. Percent is basically Latin for per 100. So out of 100, per 100, what is 4% per out of 100? 4 out of 100 of 41. And what's the equivalent of this? So since we think of percents as per 100 like Mr. Coop was talking about, we're going to think and always know that 100 is always going to go in the bottom right. And anything associated with a percent is going to go up here. So whenever you see a percent, that's going to go up here. Of is a word that's going to go in the bottom left, and our what would always go right up here. That's one way to think of it. So if we take what is 4% of 41, and I want to set up the percent proportion, compare two things. I always know 100 is going to go up here. Here's my percent. It's out of 100 per 100. 4 goes on top. What? I don't know what is. So that's going to be my x of, what is it out of? It's out of 41. So 41 is the total. So what I'm basically going to do is cross multiply and divide. Cross multiply this way, divide going down to find out my answer. Pull up the calculator here. So I'm going to go 41 times 4 divided by 10. I know this number's, 16.4. It came out as a decimal. I'm going to keep that decimal. So what is 4% of 41? 4% of 41 is 16.4. Set up the equation, or excuse me, set up the proportion. Remember, per 100, bottom right, anything with a percent is going to go over that 100 because it's per 100. Out ofs go on the bottom left, and then you have your what. Okay. Sometimes your what may be your percent. What percent? Well, if that's the case, what percent would go here, and then you have your out of and your is. So sometimes is can go up here. And sometimes your x can be over here. Moving on to 6-3, we talked about the percent equation. I like percent equation the best because it never fails. Is does mean equal. So we substitute that equal sign. Remember what? I substitute an x for. Of means I multiply. We use that dot. And I basically ask the question, what is 20% of 78? So I'm going to start, well, substitute these words. X is equals 20%. Now here I have to change this backwards, back into a decimal, so 0.20. Of means multiply 78. Now I pull up my calculator, works out nice and neat. 0.20 times 78. and I get 15.6. I'm going to keep that decimal. X equals 15.6. That's going to be my answer. So what number is 20% of 78? 15.6 is. It's important to know this is communication. So when you see problems that ask you to solve for percent proportion, I need to see this. I need to see the proportion. Okay, I don't necessarily need to see the arrows, but after I get my proportion set up, I need to have the final x equals 16.4. This is your communication. Okay? If all I see is the x equals 16.4, it's like starting in the middle of a sentence. And just like your language arts teachers wouldn't let that happen, your math teachers shouldn't let that happen either. So please communicate fully while you complete the problem. Then we talked about percent change. In percent change, I'm looking at how much did the percent change, either did it go up or did it go down. Okay, we use this a lot when we look at items on a shelf. Remember we talked about a video game that I buy today isn't going to be the same price as if I wait a couple months and buy that video game. It might go down. But our equation basically is where we take the final amount and we subtract out the original amount. This is the only way that it works. Final amount minus original amount. And then we divide that by the original amount. I've changed the formula a little bit and I put parentheses around the top here. Because there are parentheses around the top, that means you have to do this first. And then you divide by the original amount. So taking this example here, if we take a pair of shoes that was $50 and now is $35, I can substitute these values in and create a problem to solve. So the shoes in this example were $50. That were becomes the original. So whatever it is, I'm going to subtract $50 from the final amount. So the new price or the final price of these shoes when I see them on the shelf today is $35. I'm going to do that first, put that in parentheses, then I'm going to divide by the original price when the original price was $50. $35 minus 50. I know that's going to give me a negative number, and that's going to be okay. So that gives me a negative 15 all over 50. I continue to solve. Pull up the calculator. Negative 15 divided by 50 equals negative 0.3. Now what's special about this is negative 0.3. This is a percent. Remember, Mr. Coop says that percents are per 100. Well, this is a decimal. I need to change it into a percent. So I'm going to have to take this number, move it 2 places, insert a 0, and now I have negative 30%. This negative sign tells me that the price went down. By how much? 30%. This is percent change. I take the final amount, subtract the original amount, and then divide by the original amount to find a percent. Okay? This helps, hopefully, as a review for this Chapter 6. If you have questions, please do ask. Thank you for watching.